Thank you very much. It's such an interesting question because you see, in navigating something, I will say, you see, you need the grace of God as well. Trust me. Um, I came to identify my personal, as in, I had a personal encounter with God when I was in the secondary school. I was in the science class, and when you have the science course, we also have the core subjects. In within the core subject, it used to be called core science. At our time, it became integrated science. But there was one component that I wasn't so comfortable with. So it and in fact, there was agric, there was computer science, there was biology, physics, chemistry, and so on. So when I was preparing for my West African examination, I didn't know what to read. So I just slept. When I woke up, I realized I was going to fail. So then I prayed to God that, God, if you really want me to be on your side, that I should worship you, then let me close my eyes and open 3 pages. And those 3 pages should be my 3 questions in the session B. If you are really God and you can do this for me, then I'll continue to worship you and become who you want me to be. And I prayed that prayer because I knew that I was going to fail. By the grace of God, when they gave us the paper, they said, do not open that page until you are told to do so. But I was eager to see if God has done what I asked him to do. When I opened, it was exactly the same thing. So then I knew that God was with me. So any decision I take, I feel that when I set off, he will be with me. So I had that personal conviction. So when my father did that and I had to change my course of action, I knew I was not alone. So every man needs a religion, because you see, your ability gets to a point where you feel like giving up. That religion steps in to grant you faith that you can still go on, you can still move. So that becomes an internal energy that you put together to propel you. So I will encourage, if you ask me how, there must be that spiritual being awakening in you, because they say there's greater in us than what we see outside. Therefore, whatever I do, if I fail, I still have hope that I can do better because so much is within me. I changed that path just to prove something, that no way, I cannot be limited. When I lost the case in court, no way, I cannot lose this case anymore. I cannot be sitting down and then a lawyer creates a death warrant for me just because I do not have the required knowledge. So I set to go to school and become a lawyer. So we can navigate any path that we are purposed to do so. And it's about getting ourselves in the right environment. When you get yourself in the right environment, it also encourages you. For example, you want to be somebody who will be doing exercise, and you stay among people who do not have value for it every time they are there, as compared to when you find yourself among a group of people who will always move out and go for jogging. You'll be motivated. So let's change our environment if we have to change our course of action. If the inner spirit is not that strong to propel you, then change your environment or change your friends, and you'll be surprised that you will make it. Remember, if you always go to the marketplace, every time that you are free, you go to marketplace, you make friends with the market people. But when you go to a very distinguished area all the time, you will make friends with distinguished people. It's as simple as that. Garbage in, garbage out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We'll proceed to the questions now. I can see, I will just read as your names are written. Twishime Jean Paul, you would go first with your question, and then followed by Global Gateways Travels Innocent, you'll go second. So, Mr. Jean Paul, you have the floor. Jean Paul, if you're there, kindly unmute your mic so that you can ask your question. Okay, while we wait, Global Gateways, I saw your hand was up. Global Gateways, kindly unmute your mic. We cannot hear you.
Yes, yes. Now, you are hearing me
Yes, now
now?
we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for these discussions. It is a very good one. Actually, I'm innocent in Huari. I'm Rwandan. I'm here in Rwanda. I'm working with travel agents. My questions through the speaker. There is a question which is called about the SAMU practice for effective mentorship. My questions is about practice. If there is SAMU practice for mentorship, they can remind us. The second question is about to know well the word mentorship, about example of, successful mentorship programs. If there is some successful mentorship programs, they can tell us if there is. So thank you so much. Have a nice evening or mornings, depend where you are. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Honorable SEYRAM, kindly, if you can respond to that question.
Right. Thank you very much. When you want to be great, you learn to serve. So, what are the practices as far as mentorship is concerned? Copy, copy. Take it as copy, copy. When you copy, whoever you are copying, if that you admire it, if you admire Professor PLO Lumumba and how he does things, you know he cannot do that without research. Be a researcher. So you try to walk the path of that mentor. So you are copying. Chinese, those days, they had what their government did was to bring in investors, and they gave the investors concessions. Take free land, set up your business, employ our Chinese to work. After 5 years, make sure there's what transfer of knowledge. So in no time, the Chinese were copying. Today, Chinese, they no longer copy, they make. Why? Because they have copied enough. If we learn to copy, we learn to be the doers. So if you ask me about the practice, one, copy. Two, serve. You see, in serving somebody, you get to learn the secrets from the person. So you have the opportunity to get close, serve the person. I remember I was in after secondary school, I went to live with my aunt in the city. I was always washing her car. And whilst I was washing the car, one day I'll have a better car. One day I'll have a better car. Whilst I was washing the car. You see, so sometimes when you have the opportunity to get close to the people, serve them, you will realize that when you are serving, they open more doors for you to enter. Then you also talked about if there are successful mentorship conferences to attend, successful ones. When it comes to successful things, even our FDA across the world, they will not agree for a product to be labeled as successful. Why? Because it is relative. So what becomes successful is what works for you. If you go for a conference and you have learned a lot, then it is a successful conference. But if you ask me to recommend, my number one recommendation is always be part of Falas webinars, Falas seminars, Falas conferences, because you will not miss out. We have been selecting very seasoned professionals to come and relate with us so we can learn from them. I thank you very much for this question.
Thank you so much. So like we've heard from the president, effective membership is about copying and serving those who you want to be like. And I think all of us have had for the mentorship conferences, we've been reminded to always be a part of FALAS webinars and FALAS conferences. And I'm sure for those of us who are here, we are aware of the upcoming conference. And like Honorable SEYRAM has reminded us, money should not be a limiting belief. We can just try to register and then while we look for sponsorship opportunities. So the next person to go was Sarah Ampong, but I can see that she's left the meeting. So before, while we continue taking the questions, I had asked us to maybe write in the chat box who we consider as mentors and if we consider ourselves as mentors. So before I randomly start picking, I will go first. So like our president, my parents are also teachers, and I did not want to be a teacher as much as it was an option. I have wanted to be an advocate for the longest time, even before I knew what it entails. But I was lucky enough. My mentor from the time I was young, even before I knew what mentorship is, up to right now, is my cousin. She's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. She has been my mentor for the longest time, even before I knew what mentorship was, even before I knew what it was. I've always considered her as my role model. So I will start asking all of us to maybe type in the chat box. But I can see Innocent, you've asked how to join. Kindly clarify the question. Mr. Innocent, if you're with us, kindly clarify your question. Kindly unmute your mic.
Thank you. Actually, I was saying the FARAS, the what does it mean the FARAS and how to join it. Thank you.
Okay, there's always a registration form. There's a link that's always posted on the FALAS WhatsApp groups. I don't know if any of us here is not in those groups because the link is always posted in those groups. I don't know if you're a member. Okay, I think he's not close to the mic.
Excuse me. I'm very sorry for rudely interjecting. If it's possible, I think I recognize from the accent that probably they come from another country, but I would like to extend the olive branch that we are available. So please just, I've seen our president has actually offered the contact therein. So just in addition to that, you can always reach out to our social media platforms at FALAS Kenya, and we'll guide you accordingly on how to get to be a member. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that was our country director speaking. Thank you for joining us. In the next few minutes before we wrap up, because I want us to have wrap this up by 9, I was asking members to maybe write in the chat box or raise their hands and explain to us who their mentors are and why, and if they consider themselves to be mentors. And since our country director has joined us, I think we'll start with him.
All right. I'm very actually honored to be put in the fix. Let me just turn on my microphone, my camera. I hope you can see me, albeit not that clearly. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you to our speakers, our chief guest, Ambassador Khan, and His Excellency, my boss, SEYRAM. It's been a huge pleasure listening to you. I will admit that I've not heard you for YouTube and such like things, but it's been a very insightful conversation. I've loved it. One of the people that I actually consider as my mentors is actually President Seram. I have learned a lot from him in my life. There are times that I have been impulsive myself, and he stepped into his fatherly role or elder brother and showed me the way that I may have acted actually otherwise and probably in a worse manner. He has also helped my professional trajectory, how I package myself as a leader, how I package myself as a trainee lawyer. You guys should check out his LinkedIn. It's fantastic and it's nothing you've seen before. So I'm actually very privileged to have hosted one of the people that I consider my mentors. So what I would consider as a mentor to me is someone who, in Kenya we loosely translate it to someone who will hold your hand. Yeah, mtu atakushika mkono. So anyone who is willing to actually hold your hand and cross the road with you or show you how the road is crossed is someone who would qualify as a mentor. And this only qualifies for constructive relationships. So that's the brief of everything that I would say in terms of mentorship. And I would like to welcome everyone once again to register for our upcoming conference. The biggest law students conference yet is about to happen in October at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Make sure you register for the conference. It's going to be big. That's the only thing I have to say. And if you have any doubts about mentorship, then at the African Union headquarters, you will not miss at least one mentor. So welcome. Just stay tuned. We have lots of things coming on the way, and I wish everyone a fantastic night. I don't think I'll be speaking anytime soon again. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to call on to Claudette, followed by Tracy. If you're ready to tell us maybe who your mentor is and why. Claudette, if you're close, kindly unmute your mic. Okay, while we wait for Claudette, I think one of us has raised his hand. Jimmy, you may proceed.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Jimmy Nima. I'm the country director for Liberia, country director of FALAS, country director for Liberia. And I'd like to say a very big thank you for this webinar and happy to be here. And a special thanks to the president for the wonderful mentorship lecture he's delivered. I must say that I'm inspired, and some of the things he's talked about uh, are things that some of us are going through right now. I have somebody who I consider as my mentor, and I see exactly what Mr. President tried to talk about. I see some of the very practical things. I see my mentor. I see how he go about carrying himself, and I too I try to copy that. And I think this is very important for future leaders. So I am grateful, and I must also I'll say to the leadership a very big thank you for the great work you're doing in preparation for the FALAS annual conference. We from Liberia are making effort to ensure that we mobilize resources to ensure that we have a good number attending the conference. I've asked the Secretary General few
I think 2 or 3 hours ago, I've written her asking the international executive to do an institutional invitation letter to Liberia, and that letter will effectively, assist us in carrying on our lobby for support for our delegation. But I do not want to keep this long. I just want to say thank you, and I'm happy to be here. And I look forward to always following this mentorship program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for that engagement. We appreciate it. If there's anyone else who would like to go, you can just unmute your mic. You can just raise your hand and unmute your mic. Or if we are shy, you can just type in the chat box who your mentor is and why that person is your mentor, or if there's someone who considers you a mentor. On my end, if there's someone who considers me a mentor, I don't think I am aware of that. Okay. I think in the interest of time, I think I will wrap up this session. It has been an inspiring and enlightening session. We had the honor of hearing from our chief guest. He placed mentorship in the larger context of leadership, service, and legacy, and showed us that guidance is not only about the mentee, but also about the responsibility of mentors to nurture the next generation. So I know each one of us here has a mentor. I know. So I think it's also our responsibility to mentor the future generation, to mentor the next generation. We then heard from our president, reminded us of the true essence of mentorship, that it should never limit us. It should expand our vision. It should open doors, and it should give us the courage to ask, knowing that the worst thing a mentor can possibly say is no. He brought these lessons to life in a practical and relatable way, from feedback as a gift to the courage of transitioning mentors when the season calls for it, to embracing mentorship as a journey rather than a one-time encounter. So there's so much we're taking away today. To our audience, both here, to our audience who are here, thank you for your reflections. For those who have engaged, thank you for your thoughtful engagements. So the heart of mentorship beats strongest when we share, when we ask, when we stay curious, and I take this opportunity to thank those of us who have embodied that spirit. So as we close, I would like to leave us with these thoughts. Mentorship is not only about finding someone, it is also about becoming that guide for someone else. Each of us here has walked a path that another one is just beginning, and our courage to share that journey may be the light that unlocks their potential. So, on behalf of Palace, on behalf of our international president, and on behalf of His Excellency, the Ambassador, and the entire organizing team, I sincerely thank you for being a part of this important conversation. I hope that we go forward not only as mentees and mentors, but as a community committed to lifting each other higher. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your evening.